Imagine being locked away and punished for thinking the wrong thing, stripped of your rights, forced to confess, and made to work until you're quote-unquote fixed. Why would any church need something like this? Here are some voices of those who lived it.
The people who are assigned to this camp are the worst of the worst. They're criminals in Scientology.
Hannah Whitfield was put on the so-called RPF, the Rehabilitation Project Force. This was used by Scientology apparently to reform people who had misbehaved. Still sounding like a religion?
I had two big men on either side of me who pretty much manhandled me into this room with no windows, and there was just a mattress on the floor. And I was locked in this room in the dark for however long it was.
Hannah was made to live in the garage section of the Fort Harrison Hotel, which is owned by the organisation Scientology. She was only given scraps for food and made to work hard labour for 12 hours a day. What was she accused of doing to warrant giving out this punishment by unauthorised people?
My crime was, in a Scientology sense, a very serious one. I was accused of having negative thoughts about Mr. Hubbard.
The Rehabilitation Project Force is a part within this organization where people who have, been goofing up, they can go rehabilitate themselves.
These were punishments that were not voluntary and were psychologically and physically damaging.
I was certainly completely at their mercy.
Dennis Ehrlich was locked in the boiler room of the Fort Harrison Hotel for 10 days.
In the middle of one of the rooms was a chicken wire enclosure with a door that had a lock on it, and I was placed in there, and the lock was put on the door.
At the time, Vaughan and Stacey Young were so-called high-level officials for the quote-unquote church.
At 4 a.m, one night, Vaughn and I were asleep, and there was a knock on the door, and 2 security guards were there, and they took me away to the prison camp.
Stacey was put into a room on the 7th floor of the Blue Building. Her apparent crime was for disobeying an order to interrogate another member of staff. Her husband admits that he did not help her. Most probable reason for him not helping her? The influence of mind control.
You're being challenged that, what are you? Are you disloyal? Do you love your wife more than freedom for the planet? You're going to let people suffer, and all this crap is dumped on you. And what are you supposed to say?
I didn't see Vaughn for several months. I didn't hear from him. I didn't have any correspondence with him whatsoever. He did nothing to try and rescue me. I felt that my husband should have rescued me.
I didn't take her out. I look back at that. I should have just picked her up. And I should have just said, if anybody touches me, you're dead.
But even after they went through this, they still remained loyal to Scientology. And then they turned on him and put him in punishment for 13 months.
You go through interrogations, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month, breaking you down.
After Vaughan's stint, that was enough for them to leave. They threw some clothes in the back of the car and left.
Herbert's policy was, as long as you're with us, we'll leave you alone. But if you speak out against us, we're going to dog you and ruin you and destroy you. And that's exactly what they keep trying to do.
Lawrence Wollersheim was another victim of this punishment from a so-called religion. He was forced to work 19-hour days, and when he tried to escape, he was seized by Scientology members and kept captive. He eventually won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the Church of Scientology.
They censor the phone calls. You're not allowed to speak to anyone who's critical. There was no way for anyone to reach me.
This doesn't just happen in the States. It happens down under too.
Being kept virtual prisoners, working full-time and living in appalling conditions.
This is a building that Scientology own that is located in Western Sydney. There are many stories of Australians and people from Asian countries that have been brought here and held against their will. You may have watched the video I made about Alice Wu, who was a Taiwanese national that was brought from Taiwan to Australia and held in this building against her will. She broke a window to try and escape and was taken to hospital. I will leave a link to that video in the description. Another person that has been held against his will from a very young age is Shane Kelsey.
I lived in the garage for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years.
There it is, hiding in plain sight. A compound in the middle of suburbia, a place where children and adults are sent to be punished and corrected in awful ways.
You're not allowed to read any books other than Scientology books. You can't read newspaper, no radio, no movies, nothing.
Shane was held in the building and groomed to believe that everyone on the outside was stupid, useless and pathetic. Shane was first made to live in a garage and then in a cupboard under the stairs.
So I lived in a garage until they got flooded by a storm. And my mum got really pissed off and said, what the hell? And so I got moved into a closet. It is a closet under the stairs, maybe 2 meters long and 1 meter wide.
People who are held under this program by the organisation are also made to march every day and do repetitive drills, as well as studying the Scientology material for many hours a day, alongside hard labour, over 12 hours a day sometimes. Shane's mum and dad were dedicated Scientologists in Sydney. When Shane was 6 years old, they put him into the highest corps, which is called the Sea Org. The Sea Org is a fake military organisation within Scientology. Shane was moved into a small dorm with 11 other kids. He was put to work at a very young age, going out on the streets with other young children and distributing leaflets with Scientology propaganda on them. The photo shown on the screen currently is one that I found from last year of a child handing out Youth for Human Rights booklets, which is one of Scientology's front groups.
Like 8 of us, 10 of us, young as, and we just go punch people to drug-free lives and things like that.
How old were you when you did that?
I first started doing that when I was 7. I signed my contract when I was 8 years old.
And what was the contract for?
It was the billion-year contract.
Billion-year contract. And what does that mean?
That means your service and you're volunteering or servicing the church for the next billion years.
How often did you see your parents when you were in there?
I saw them once a week.
Shane was also made to work full-time in a commercial kitchen from the age of 8.
As soon as you turn 15, anyone, you're straight out of school. Doesn't matter what grade you're in, what level of literacy, what level of maths, what level of anything. You're straight out. As soon as I turned 15, I was doing 7 days a week, 14-hour days.
See, that's 100 hours a week.
Yeah, we get anywhere between $4 pay to $35.
$35 a day?
A week.
There you go, guys. That is Scientology's punishment system in the US and Australia. This also goes on in Denmark and in the UK. Still think it deserves respect as a religion or to be recognised as a religion in your country? Let me know in the comments. Please, if you could, do all the things. It's free and it gets the word out. Cheers!